Okay, I'm looking at this piece and it's very much the messy middle. There's very much not anywhere that my eye's going to, and that's what this step will do. I call it loosely the rule of 3, and if you've been in a class with me, I often teach this to my students, and that is when you do something to a painting, do it 3 times but in different ways. It's really good for composition, and it's really good to draw the eye and also to move the painting to somewhere where it gets it out of that messy middle. So the rule of 3, I've just picked a colour that I know will work on this painting, and I'm going to do something really bold. So I'm not thinking about what I'm covering here, I'm just wanting to do something really bold. So there you go, there's a really bold mark. But with that bold mark, it's not enough for me to have it just there. So I'm going to do something there and something there. And right now what I've done is I've created us compositionally something that is very, very bold in one spot. Right here is very bold mark. It's off center, but it draws my eye. But then in order for it to feel like it's becoming a composition, I'm going to do that somewhere else and then a tiny bit somewhere else. And I really want to make sure that those 3 are different. So I might just kind of put a mark into there. And now I've got that bold mark happening 3 places on a painting. And I quite often do things in 3. Somewhere very, very bold, somewhere else in a different shape, and then a tiny bit somewhere else. And it helps to draw the eye around a painting. Even if it's not the last marks that we're making, it just helps me take the painting compositionally somewhere else. So that's that one. I'll bring this one on here, and I'm going to show it in a different way. So I'm going to use oil pastel, which I really do love using on a painting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make quite a bold mark in here. And then, as I said before, I've done that once. I'll do it somewhere else. And then I'll do it in a 3rd area in a different way. So there you've got a pastel, oil pastel mark working across the painting that compositionally just takes it somewhere else. It draws the eye and helps the painting become more dynamic, or at least it just helps me go somewhere else with it. So that's the 2nd example. So it might sound counterintuitive, but sometimes you need to go backward in a painting in order to go forward. So I'm going to demonstrate on this painting. It's got a lot on it, but for me it's too much. So I'm going to create more space. And I'm still going to use the rule of 3 in different ways, but I'm going to do it to take away as opposed to add. So, for instance, just here, it just feels like too much for me, so I'm going to give myself a nice clear piece in there. And then I'm going to use a similar colour, maybe a couple of colours, to add that same feel into the painting, but in a different way. So I'm just using the same colour. Because it's nice and light, it feels to me like I'm simplifying somewhat. Maybe what I'm doing is getting rid of some of the dark colours to make way for some more interesting ones. And so now I've done 2 areas of a similar thing. I'm going to now bring in another light colour to add space, but do it with a slightly different colour. So it's still that kind of nice opaque getting rid of, but by changing up the colour, it's helped it not be the same. So I've got these 3 spaces. They're all very, very opaque. They're all a little bit different from each other, and it is allowing me to just see what else I can do without so many complicating lines in there. So that's another way. You don't always have to add, sometimes you can take away, and sometimes that's by putting a more opaque color onto your canvas and giving yourself some background, because now I can come over the top of some of these areas with some dark or with some transparents, and I may add some more to it. I don't know that I need to add too much to it, but for instance, I could just put in some finer lines here that are going to match some of the finer lines in the painting. But essentially, I've just given myself more space on this canvas. So even with the rule of 3, it can be giving yourself more space, going backward in order to move the painting forward.